Okay, welcome everybody to the 52nd Keshe Knowledge Seekers Workshop. It's been one full year since we started this Knowledge Seekers series, and once again we'll be talking with Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, and we have a few questions and other things that to have a look at and find out what the latest is on the new university in Bari, Italy, and other things that are going on with the Keshe Foundation. So I guess without further ado, let's tie in with Mr. Keshe and see what's going on there. Mr. Keshe, are you available?
Yes. Good morning. Good evening. Good day to you all. Today is exactly Rick said, 52 session of the knowledge seekers. Somebody's got the microphone close and scratching.
Sorry, I think that might have been me. I was trying to make an adjustment. Go ahead.
Today we managed to last a year teaching. We learned a little bit, hopefully more than a year ago. But at the same time, a lot of things has changed for the foundation since we started teaching on the live stream on this basis. All together with children, the Chinese. That was okay?
It's okay there, and just let me check my headphones.
I can hear you fine.
There's something wrong here.
It's fine. I can go to a meeting here.
No, there's a problem with this connector. Oh, what's up?
Good. Yeah, the little nub.
Okay, we have to do things differently here. Sorry.
You got a crinkly chair somewhere.
We got two crinkly chairs here, actually, between me and Guy, but the problem is the extension wire for the headphone is no good, and we can't both listen at the same time, so Guy has to go on the live stream listening. Okay, so I think I've straightened that issue out. I am sorry. Could you start again, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, as I said, good morning. Good day, and happy birthday to you all. It's 1 year since we started these programs. We have come a long way since last year with this week, the 52 weeks of the SSI teaching. We have managed to secure and start the process of the mass teaching as a university level. We have to see where we're going to go and how the things develop in the coming months and weeks and years. Now that the foundation as an institute, as a teaching institute, starts a new life, a new cycle. I've been told by those who know better than me, hopefully by next Thursday latest we will have the new SSI website and the video for registration will be ready and it will be published. We have a number of people who already applied to be as a student in SSI. We will respond to you accordingly. If you are still interested, you can respond back and fill in the form. The whole organization, we have a meeting of the Keshe Foundation core team on the 21st of April, and public opening with the dignitaries and the rest will be done on the 23rd of April in Italy. There is a clarification to be done. We use Bari as the base, but the university, its physical structure is in Trani, which is about 30 kilometers from Bari, but the headquarters of the university sits within the Bari district. So and then we have a third site for the testing, ground testing in the future, which still stays another 30 kilometers on the other side with the same district of the Bari. So we use Barry as a general point of reference for the university. As some of you have seen on the health workshop on Tuesday, we broadcasted the first teaching from the classroom in the university. And we are spreading out as of today, and we come back together around about 17, 18, back in the university to set up everything up for the university, the laboratories to be set up, everything else to be set up, that we are ready by the time the knowledge seekers arrive in May. The whole condition of accepting students will set by the 2-3 people which have been appointed. They vet on all aspects of it, and then they recommend to be accepted, and then you receive a acceptance letter from the institute. The structure of the work for the university is very, very simple. The timetable, we have decided how we're going to teach and how the teaching is going to be, in a way, knowledge sharing more than teaching. Those who would like to join in the first wave, we have a position at the moment that we might have to run 2 classes simultaneously due to the numbers of the people requesting and the Italian population who want to have a right to be in the classrooms on their own in the university. So if you are thinking to join or you have planned to join, please fill in the forms and send them back to us, and we respond more or less through the core team of the university team appointed by the people who know yes, no, and how, and the rest. We are lucky that we have managed to, and the pictures will go up at the same time on the website, secure the number of resident, what they call apartments for knowledge seekers who come. You can apply on your list for the accommodation. I think Armand will put the pictures up to the group to be put up on the website. It's going through now as he's speaking. We have to see how the progress will come, and at the same time, a second SSI university is in the progress of being set up even before we start the first one. This will be for Eastern Bloc, for Baltic nations, that it will be held most probably in the Baltic area, and it'll be the same process, but that'll be later on this year or early next year, once we can supply the teachers to the university. Going back to the teachings, the structure of the teaching is a very direct morning session teachings and afternoon labs or discussion groups. At the same time, we have started purchasing the equipment for the laboratories, the Raman spectroscopies, infrared spectroscopy machines, and the rest, which will be here by the time the students arrive. And if you are of a specific, what I call school of thought of teaching, that you're joining us, and you're coming in to be trained or to be taught in the plasma technology of the Keshe Foundation, to use the knowledge in your field of expertise, please advise us once you're accepted, if we can, and we look into, to buy the equipments that once you go into your labs, in your workshops, your knowledge can be used in the best way. That we have the equipments ready if you want to test something in a specific way, that we are prepared and we can pre-plan in having the equipments ready. I know we have scientists in the gravitational system, we have scientists in different aspects of space technology who join us. If you are accepted, please advise the university in what equipments you see you might need. within the means of the university, we will try to provide it that your talent and your expertise are used immediately within the time you are here, and you can add to the knowledge of the rest, because then we can rely on you. The whole structure is that we try to bring all the knowledges which is needed together in one place. So in different kind of field of expertise, you have to advise us what you see the best way to be done. We're still, as we said, looking for a large amount of donation to buy equipments, because they're running into large figures. Raman spectroscopy yesterday we ordered with the library ends up around about between 25 to 32,000 euro for one simple machine. So we are looking for a large donations to the foundation. If you can donate in any shape or form to be able to build the university on the back of us and the government, we welcome your donations. Or if you have equipment which is useful and it's not obsolete, just to get rid of it off the shelf, the university will still look if it's the systems which is usable and advisable for us to use. Going to the teaching of the work of the knowledge. Last week we started speaking about the shape and the line of what we call principal matters, or principal fields, or principal energy in the center of the universe. Something which has come up, and we were talking with the knowledge seekers, is that a large number of scientists, even today, have not, even in the physics and the nuclear physics, atomic physics, have come to understand a main principle, the working of atomic structure. Now we add a little bit more to the structure, a little bit more into the knowledge. In actual, the physical structure of the atom and the nucleus. In the atomic structure, we look at the proton, electron and neutron. But when we go into the nucleus, when we go to the center, we find out we have always, or most of the cases, larger number of neutrons than protons. Because when the neutrons divide into electron and proton, they add to the proton or neutron of the atomic structure. But at the same time, for them to reach this division point of electron and proton, they have to lose their surplus energy in a plasmatic magnetic field form. When the energy in a plasmatic magnetic field is released, thank you very much for the picture, then the fields have to be absorbed by partially the protons which are near to them, and partially by the electrons in the boundary. But one fundamental point which is never understood in the totality of it, in the structure of the atomic physics, is that the electrons themselves are there to absorb the radiation from the proton, from the neutron, and from the environment which the atom exists or stays and is present. In this case, the matter state, which is a neutron, the matter state, which is a proton, releases energy, or its energy, in a spectrum of fields. What does this mean? All the energy, all the gravitational magnetic field released, let's say by a neutron, is not in the matter and submatter strength. Some are in the transition and some are in the principal strength. So an electron which absorbs energy from a proton or a neutron in the center, it absorbs again a spectrum of matter strength, transition strength, and principal strength. So one of the reasons that a proton or even a neutron, because the neutron receives this energy in a different way through the atmosphere and through the galaxy and through the universe, the principal matter strength or principal energy level is received by the nucleus in the same way and more or less as much as the matter state. So a neutron not only just loses part of its field, due to its gravitational field strength, absorbs the spectrum of energy into the center itself. Not only from the proton and the neutrons around it, but from what we call the soup of the cosmos. This is very important if you start working in the level of the plasma and the GANS. We've seen in some tests that you have not noticed or you have not observed is that the condition changes, not without changing anything else, but the condition changes just because of the environmental change. You start producing different material, you don't touch anything, but you move your pot or something somewhere else, or you move it near the ground and it changes. The reason for the change is change of condition and the change of the leakage or absorption of the energy by the plasma or the GANS in all three levels. The principle, the transition, and the matter state. In the center of the neutron, like a galaxy, there is a principal seed, which is the source, is a bank, is a reserve tank. And this reserve tank has a spectrum. And the further you go inwards by the strength in negative direction, the strength of the fields increases by the order of magnitude. So not only the center is emitting from the highest order to a lowest order, but the highest order in the center, because of its strength, attracts fields from the environment inside its own plasma of the neutron, plus the environment outside it in the atomic structure or the universal structure. So, in a way, all the neutrons, all the protons, all the elements in a visible and invisible direction and the strength, they all have and connect with each other in this matter. The strength, the stronger, always attracts the ones that's below it, but at the same time releases below itself. So the process is continuous. And when you come to the center of the principle, there is always order of magnitude because you add to it. If one understands this, then you can translate this back into the structure of, for example, what we spoke about in the health section, of the skin and the nails. that it changes, we absorb matter energy level. So now you have, and you come to understand that from now on, that your knowledge has extended understanding and having more clarity about the different field strength of the transition, the principle, and a matter state and submatter state. There is a continuous absorption of the fields and energies in every level in respect to the lower and a higher order strength. This is, in a way, conservation of energy in a plasmatic condition. A plasma at the lower order, the strength in the principal level, only absorbs and adds to its mass only when the gravitational and magnetical fields are of the same strength. So, in a way, they take part when it's equal to them, when they have the magnetical property or magnetic property, absorption property, when the plasma in magnetical and gravitational are of the same order. So when you have a gravitational magnetical field which falls in the transition level, this will never be absorbed by a matter state or by the principal state. This is very important because in the order of the magnitude, when you speak about the nucleus, not all the fields which are radiated out of the nucleus by the neutrons and proton are as the strength which the electron can absorb. And what we see these released energy as rays, what we call radiations. But at the same time, the radiation released is dictated by the environment which the electron is working on, or the proton is working on, or the atomic structure is. The release of radiation, the release of plasmatic gravitational magnetic field by atomic structure, which in its singularity in a gas state we call it a GANS, is entirely dependent on what the environment around the nucleus, around the plasma, allows it to release or to accept, and how the connection is built that creates a plasmatic pressure. Not all the radiations released by the neutron or the proton are in what up to now the man has observed in a particle, and other parts we call them alpha and beta, and when they become another field we call them gamma. Now that the world of science has moved into the plasma technology, now you have to look and understand for new type of radiation. There are radiations which are much further higher in order than gamma. But at this moment, the world of science have not managed to detect them because they operate in a plasmatic level, not in a ray level. Some are seen and can be measured, and the new tools will come that you can measure rays of the higher order than gamma ray. They are more powerful, but because, as I explained, each section of entity of a plasma absorbs what is in field strength range of gravitational magnetic field, they are not absorbed or touch the structure of the atomic structure of the neighbors. We have to extend the knowledge in understanding that there is more than gamma rays. Much more. At the same time, we have to understand and add to the knowledge that the gravitational magnetic field, what we call plasmatic energy packages like rays, exist, operate in all levels, and in space they'll be one of the most important parts of any operation in the reactors and defense technology. What this means is, now that we are going into the next steps of the space technology, we have to devise tools that does not sit and rely on alpha, beta or gamma rays, but on the composite magnetic gravitational field packages which behave like rays, but they are composite, they're actually light, but of a different strength. Very much as you see different colors through different strength and different bandwidth and wavelength, the same kind of structure applies to plasma. And these will create different lights, colors of lights, from the point of the observer on the human race level. This is why, if you go to book number 3, we have shown a composite color shape, color shades. Because this is to show that now we have to understand that some of these so-called plasmatic rays can become slowed down, that behave like gamma rays, or can be attracted by another stronger point, that they can change to a stronger speed to behave like gamma rays. These plasmatic gravitational magnetic fields are part of the structure of the universe, have been from the beginning of time. But now man has to add to the knowledge. Because in space you have to be aware, they are not harmful. You receive gravitational plasmatic field in a gamma ray level, but it's totally harmless. Because it adds to the totality of the plasma. When you have a ray, you disbalance the plasma. And that's why you create damage. Our body, every single cell of any entity, be it the stone, be it the human body, be it the fish, be it the water, continuously absorbs and releases these kind of packages. The release of these plasmatic magnetic fields and the condition that the environment they are in request or pulls out of the plasma of a neutron or electron or proton dictates the decay time. If now that we are building new tools of measuring gravitational magnetic field plasmatic, not as ray, in a very short time, in the coming time, all the people who work will explain to you a maggrav strength. And when you receive a maggrav strength, in most of the time, if it's not as a high package in one dosage, You will receive gamma rays and you receive above gamma rays. But if it's like a magnet, the same strength of what your body carries, it'll be added to it, or be linked up to it. And if it's not, it just passes through. All of us on daily life, we receive huge amount of gravitational magnetic field, magnetical field plasmas from our environment in the gamma ray and the rest. They are much, much more powerful than X-rays and gamma rays. But they are in a plasmatic condition. It's very much the same as when you mix the GANS of the CO2 with the GANS of copper oxide. They're both plasmas, but because of different strength, they will not mix. They stay separate. They will not be absorbed by the other. Even though some of their fields interacts to keep a distance and creates absorption of certain strength. The reason we have to discuss this and has to be understood fully in the coming time is that by going beyond the spaces of this solar system, we come to see new colors. Because these colors we absorb or we observe are not in the ray level, but in the plasmatic level, like the ganses we see. We have to understand which one is adding more to us or taking more from us. Can endanger the existence and the cycle of the loss of the energies, or adding to the energies of the nucleus. One of the processes of nuclear decay is absorption of a higher order at the principle level, which has never been understood by Boulder physics. When you enter a high density plasmatic magnetic field environment, and is of the order which adds to the principle or the transition level of the nucleus components like the the protons and neutrons, then by simple understanding that the gap in the nano layers are decided by the strength of the fields of the matter state, then the gap between the protons and neutrons increases, so the nucleus expands. And then if the same amount is not absorbed by all the neutrons and all the protons, creates a disbalance and what we call a nuclear decay. These kind of expansion of the nucleus or absorption of the energy in a higher order strength by the electron in the boundary leads to creation of new plasmatic isotopes. In the shell of the solar system, we are protected, and the strength of the neutron, position of electron and protons in the strength of their plasmatic magnetic field is dictated by the gravitational magnetic field of the sun. Once you go into space, these things have no parameters. So it's one of the jobs of the people who design space reactors is to keep a constant plasmatic magnetic field barrier. This goes back to the structure which we have seen with the mic, with the rings. You have to start taking the veil of restriction due to intelligence. Now you have to understand the restriction is only in a space will be dictated by the space you're in. It's you who have to understand how you got yourself in such a position and what are the consequences of it. In the last week, we've seen this process in the last 2 weeks with Armin in having creating as we show the blood, the red structures in the liquid. And when he put the mixer inside, it proved the correctness that the structure carries a what we call amino acid in conjunction with the iron, which created the red structure, hemoglobin. And in mixing with the plasmatic magnetic field of the copper oxide, has become indigo blue. That indigo blue, which you have seen created since we put the mixer in, it shows the presence of hemoglobin in being mixed or matched with the blue of the copper oxide. In a way, it has two clear advantages, or two clear explanations. The materials are in nano state, in the GANS state. And secondly, because red and blue are both prime colors, and they are of different plasmatic magnetic field strength, for the first time we have observed a new color in a plasmatic condition. I explained this to Armin, that you have to understand, not just turn to indigo or dark blue. You have to understand now, like what you've seen in the GANS of the copper oxide, the GANS of the CO2. Now you create new matters. If you want to call it, this is a new plasmatic molecule, which its interaction has created the indigo blue. This is how, when you add life into it, it becomes a new process of intelligence. Because the red already carries the amino acid, the properties of amino acid, the cancer state of amino acid, in conjunction with iron. Now you have added into the structure copper oxide. This is how life evolved on this planet. Then when it got mixed with zinc, and then it got mixed with other lead, and the others has led to the structure, the ones which are of the same strength gravitational magnetic field, gathered and connected, and over time they have become tissues, nerve system, that find a way, as we said, doves with doves and wolves with wolves. And then they had to find a common denominator that one can guarantee the survival of the connection of the other one. The indigo.
Slight adjustment of the microphone there, please.
Yeah. So the indigo blue, which we see in the bucket, is the beginning of the plasmatic molecular structure, which leads to life. Armin has added magnesium into it. Then, in the future, as we develop, we start creating the GANS first and then mixing it. And then, in time, you understand how you can produce new entities, which they have control of their own lives, to divide and replicate. In a simple box in the lab, and with simple interaction of putting a rotation, as we explained happens in the oceans or on the lakes, we have started replicating not only the production, but we have started replicating the process which leads to production of life. Again, 52 weeks ago we started with a talk. After 3-4 weeks we started with like a half-cut bottles. We saw in the first weeks the hemoglobin, the red. In past 12 months we went and developed more gases of gases, copper oxide and CO2 and the rest. And now we are adding what we saw in the first weeks with what we have developed. And now we're learning to understand the process and the conditions that from now on it goes in the hand of scientists and the knowledge seekers to start mixing, but understanding the process of mixing to lead to plasmatic molecules. Some will stay in the GANS, some will stay in the plasmatic radiation level. Some will absorb only the principal strength plasmatic magnetic fields from their environment. Last week we saw the cup inside a cup and we saw the water. One test done in another part of the world and one test was done already for months in the laboratory. And both showed the production of water, conversion of the fields in the matter state to be equal to gravitational magnetic field of H2O. We do not see water dripping from the side of the box. We see the moisture on the floor of the containers. You as knowledge seekers who have grown and developed these things are entering a new cycle. It's what we call the cycle of creation. And there is a lot of responsibility goes with being able and being the creator. Your thoughts, your emotion feeds what you supply. Do you want to make a cup of water of peace, or you want to make a cup of water of anger and hate? The whole structure in past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, now it changes from playing in the atomic plasmatic level into the composite molecular plasmatic level. Can you switch it off, please? This is important because in so many ways, just switch it off, sorry. In so many ways, the knowledge seekers have become the producers of their own nourishment. The indigo blue and the blue you see in the box in the lab, as we were talking yesterday, is not the blue of the shoe crab. That's created because of cesium oxide. That's much higher order than the creation of man. Cesium oxide with amino acid has happened does happen, leads to creation of life, but it needed a life which could use it than being developed. A lot of us like to eat lamb, but we cannot touch fish or oysters because it causes all sorts of problems. So as we say in English, it's horses for courses. When man in the future starts living in the span of universe, he will adapt because there is not enough to what is used to, but he adapts to the nearest where it can guarantee his existence. And then we become shoe crabs of that place. You have to add to your knowledge in a correct way and understanding the totality. Don't look at just a new color. Understand the new color. Go back into your knowledge in a matter state, go back into your knowledge in plasma state, and find out why indigo, why green, why blue. I led this work, this way of thinking, by the first time opening the work of the conversion of the CO2 in the GANS level by showing you the box of the copper oxide and zinc and replication and a copy of it with the leaf of a tree. The work of the knowledge seekers that they come to university or to get taught by us in a way is to understand the work. Then you can replicate, and then you can add to the knowledge. As I always say, God is the creator and man the converter. You never create anything new that it doesn't exist in the universe. It's just that you learn processes that you can convert one matter to another, which has already been replicated in another part of the universe. But you have to understand how you can replicate it. Yesterday when we were meeting with the guy from the company with the Raman spectroscopy, I was explaining to him what I expect from the new system. And he kept on telling me, you are discovering something new, you have to explain to us, we have to understand. I said, no, we are still doing what you are doing, but slightly in a different way that we can see more. In a coming time, we will change the Raman spectroscopy system into plasmatic Raman spectroscopy, which does not give us a spectrum of the materials, because a plasma releases a spectrum of fields. This is one of the reasons which most of you have never even understood, and I've pointed out this several times in all the teaching in the past 12 months. When we put the copper oxide in Raman spectroscopy and then infrared spectroscopy, and when the Belgians and the Italian nuclear centers and even now in Japan tests are getting done, is creating a lot of confusion, is because the plasma releases a spectrum of fields which comes from the principal strength, from the transition strength, and from the matter strength. And so as they receive different strength, they see the behavior of and they register the behavior of or existence of different materials. The original infrared spectroscopy in Ghent University showed in one sample 14 different materials property can be seen in one plasma. In the copper oxide we have seen 22. even though it's one plasmatic material. This is what I explained to you, that in the detection and in the field emission from a nucleus, you emit, you receive the spectrum of the field energies much higher than gamma ray. And as is different strength and duration, in Raman spectroscopy systems, it shows itself as different materials. Because in fact, the Raman spectroscopy and infrared spectroscopy are measuring in 2 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes a collection of all the plasmatic fields of different strength, which in their system shows as different matter in that plasma. So what I explained from the beginning till now, we have seen it in the physical registration of the matter. So we have to develop new systems, which will be spearheaded here in conjunction with a team in Albania, developing new systems for measurement of not a spectrum, but exact, precise plasmatic magnetic field strength.
Mr. Keshe, may I ask a question right now because it's kind of appropriate? From Maggrav Dynamics in the live stream, how did Mr. Keshe know that CO2 and CuO would capture gamma radiation? How is it you know these things, and we're trying to come up with systems to measure and so on, but you already know. How did you know? How did you know these things?
I know a lot of things that you don't know.
I know that.
So in time,
but okay,
there is somebody on this what do you call it, listening to this program, that she has called me an alien and not from this planet, and we all know who she is.
Well, that's a simple explanation where the knowledge would come from, I suppose.
You have to understand. We know. Put it this way. In time, the human race who become teachers will teach the same way.
The knowledge is able to be accessed even by humans. You don't have to be an alien to access this knowledge in the way that you do. Is that correct?
Put it this way: we carry different RNA. We have a different discs than you have.
Okay, well, maybe it would be helpful in that way to be
The
reborn in a different way.
Yeah, but the thing is,
are we stuck with our RNA as humans, or can we actually change it with certain work on ourselves?
You add to the knowledge, and what you learn stays as part of your RNA. It doesn't matter what shape your physicality takes. It's like you have a CD-ROM with the music. Doesn't matter in which computer you put it in a laptop, you hear the same music because it's there. You put it in the mainframe computer, you still hear the same music. It's the information which is stored. Pardon? Oh, Arman says you need upgrades. But upgrading human being is a very difficult job. The problem is that one of the main points is I come from a nuclear background. In the world of physics and biology and above, you look at everything at the end product. In the world of nuclear, we look at the essence, this minutest. And if you understand, then you can translate. I can never become a heart surgeon, impossible. At the same time, a heart surgeon can never become a nuclear physicist. Yesterday I was with a priest in a monastery. And the priest was well educated in nuclear technology. He could explain to me everything from the division of hydrogen in the atomic hydrogen bomb to the rest. And I said to him, you're a priest. And in Italian, he was so excited that he could translate his knowledge to another nuclear physicist. And I said to him, I'm sorry about one point, is that we passed with nuclear, it's already over. We have moved into the plasma division. He said, now I have to start from the beginning. I said, you're welcome to the institute, we teach you. If you extend and become, in a way, devoted or trying to clarify a point of understanding, you will understand the totality without, you have to do it without prejudice. Because the minute you put your prejudice on, this is what I've learned and that has to be, you have already limited the level of your intelligence. That's why I always say, every man will listen to this program, but each one takes according to his own intelligence. I think Marco was telling me this week, he says, I listen to the same thing and the others listen to the same thing. And then when we talk about 10 different ways and things. I said, because each one of you have according to your own intelligence, you take and you see what you can. The biggest problem for man is a fear of unknown. And the biggest problem for man on top of that is fear of admitting I don't know enough. Then we have to protect what we know. Then we can become professors. As you know, in the new institute, through the structure of the Italian organization, I've been given the title of professor. But I refuse to accept. But as you teach in the university, in the level I do, you have to carry a title of professor. But I still carry my card as the same, without any title. You've seen the scientists who come, anybody gives you a business card, it puts BSc, PhD, clock. Add to the narrowness of mind. In all my business cards, it's just my name.
Mr. Keshe, I noticed sometimes you even write your name without a capital K. Is that part of that as well?
Yes. Why do we use capital? To emphasize our existence.
Yeah, I tend to use capitals in titles for videos and things like that, and it's a habit to accent and try to push forward a certain point of view, like you say, but to be open means to accept all points of view and not put forward that particular point of view so strongly.
Yeah, I was told by nuclear physicist. I was explaining this past couple of days to somebody I can't remember. When I was in Tehran, they were asking me, "You're a professor, doctor, engineer." I said, "No, I'm nothing. I just teach. I just do my work." And then they went and they found a title for me to call me a philosopher. I said, "No way. I'm still what I am." If you look in the structure of the man, they need to have an identity for them to have a reason to exist. Where existence can be equal without identity, but contributing to the race. The point is, when we go back to what we were teaching, in adding to the knowledge, is that you have to start going to the next level. Each one of us, now even see it in the workshops. The Spanish are in the first legs of what we did about 6-12 months ago. There are those who come beyond the Spanish because they're just trying to understand how to put paper systems together. We have those who are much ahead, are looking into the development of the tools But in general, we all catch up to the same point. This is one of the reasons that we will not stop the Thursday morning workshops and Tuesday afternoon workshops in the university. It's the same teaching, but cross-section. Where during the week, in lessons, they are targeted towards certain part of the technology, and even with that, with me, is impossible. Because then they become narrow-minded. That day, I only think about biology. This day, I only think about nanomaterials. With my teaching, I go across from one to another, that they can see the relationship. If they cannot see it in one, they see it in the other. One of the processes which in the coming year and months you will come to realize is use of new equipment which you have not seen before, and you have to realize it's like a new computers, you have to start learning to use. The basis of these are already set in the lab. We have a few, and in time the knowledge will be translated in equipment digital case. We have one of the geniuses of electronic and computers with us in the form of Professor Lutzi. And he is a technical administrator in the university. You'll come across him a lot, but in a way it's a close development relationship within the framework of the university. And the electronic system and the gadgets will come out of the university like hotcakes. So what we talk, as you know, some of you, Professor Lutzi, has been one of the original team of the Apple. And now other parts and other scientists within the Italian structure which are working with us will come into operation to develop the new systems, unless we get collaboration from other governments, other country scientists. You have to understand the totality of the working of a plasma, and then the interaction. We try to explain the behavior at the beginning. We've seen it's created, how we produced GANSes and nano layers, and then now we're going into composite. And now we have enough knowledge to be able to understand the composites. Because if you understand composites, their behavior, their existence, then you start understanding the behavior of other creatures and creations in the universe. Then you will have respect for them because you have created one yourself. If you have respect for your work. And then it's time to join the universal community. The introduction of the composite molecule plasmatic condition is the beginning of the understanding of the world of creation in the universe. Because whatever you mix and you create as a composite plasma has already been done in the universe and usually has led to a creation. This goes back to very beginning of my teachings. A lot of people, if you remember a few months ago, they kept on telling us, why do you keep on telling us you don't understand? We are not stupid. Once you go to space, and you keep on finding new things and you don't understand, and look at somebody or another field, another entity, like a new animal in a cage, or you'll be in the cage, and they look at you, then you understand you don't understand. And it's your job to understand how it's come to be and how to respect the existence and not to eat it because it looks delicious. You have to become the creator to have respect for created. And this is the process which we started from last 2 weeks ago, and that's why I start teaching the structure of the universe with the black holes and the universe last week. Because some of you are getting there, but you don't understand where you're getting to. So we start explaining. You're at the beginning of a highway, but you don't know where this highway is going to, but you know because of the shape of it is a highway. You can do any speed you like. And in this highway, we have left Armand alone to go as fast as he likes now. He loves. So you have to start understanding structures. And you have to start understanding what condition you have created, which has led to these structures. In the coming time, you don't come and show a gel or a crystal. You come and explain, this is my thought, this is what I got, what do others think? How did I get here? Or you explain your position. This is not a, what do you call it, a doctor's surgery coming and says, what is my disease? I have a lump on my head. Your disease is you've been hit by a hammer on the head, so you have a lump. You have to start explaining. You have to start explaining the conditions you have created. And then you have to explain how structures are created by your action. I see a lot of videos running in the background. Does somebody would like to explain to us what they are?
Yeah, they're from Brett. Maybe Brett, if you want to guide me through some of your pictures and videos here, which are quite interesting, showing wavy GANS buildup on the bottom of the container, for example.
Okay, sure. Which one do you want to play?
Right now I'm playing well, I don't know if there's a name on it here, but
That's okay, I can see
just the first video. Yeah, if you're on live stream, you can see the thicker wavy GANS video.
Yeah, that was copper oxide GANS that I'd left in the container for months, and just let it sit there and do its thing, and it looks like it's turning into like a brain neural tissue. It's linking up with everything, just growing. But I don't know what this white stuff is on the bottom, not the green, but the whitish stuff. I don't know what that is. I wasn't expecting that.
If you look, I think maybe you can explain to us, you see a lot of black spots?
Yeah.
What are the black, how can you explain the black spots?
I don't know why the black spots are there. Maybe this stuff just got in the container from being out in the open. You know, dirt and dust or whatever flying in.
Stop. Look at their structure. They all look the same and the same size and the same shape. If you can go back and freeze on it, please. Go back up. No, go back further before, a minute before. Go back. If you can go back on the tape.
Okay, you mean around where it is there now?
Yeah, stop there, yeah. If you look, these are all same kind of a structure. all the blacks. Arman immediately came up with a good answer, which is quite valid, which is these are nanoparticles.
Seems like it would be copper, the copper oxide black nanoparticles, wouldn't they?
Yeah, these are the nanoparticles which are not converted into the GANS state. And in part of the structure of the body of the man, you get these. These become your nails. These become when the nanoparticles, or they become like your hair. Part of your skin looks like this. You have a GANS and you have a nano atomic structure of the GANS which is converted, which gives it the solid state. Partially the bone structure carries this kind of structure as well, which is the nano and GANS mixed together. Because in time, if you keep an eye on this, one of these black spots or a number of them, you see them, they disappear, but they appear somewhere else. Because these nanomaterials receive energy that they convert into a GANS or convert back on, and you had that in your bottom picture.
It almost looks like the black pieces are forming a center or nucleation site for the white on the bottom. Is that true, Brett? Are there black pieces in the middle of the white chunks on the bottom?
I don't see any black pieces. I mean, maybe a few. I don't know. The white stuff I was surprised about.
Is the white just...
Talking about the one above it, just before this frame.
Okay, well...
Yeah, I was going to say those black spots look like a neural synapse gap or something where they link up together and channel off, but I don't know.
Yeah, you got to understand why. A nano, even the black, is a magnetic field entity of a given strength. So it links up with the GANS through that strength of its gravitational magnetic field. This is how certain part of the body holds copper and the other part holds, for example, zinc, or uses zinc.
And would that...
Carry on.
Would that be why the GANS tends to form these tendril structures and so on, because of the magnetic that's added into it? Structure?
It's not added to it because it's like, what do you call it? It's like tentacles, but these are magnetic field tentacles. And the ones which have of the same strength, they link into it. If you look in so many ways, these things will change over time. And when the totality becomes a GANS state, then you have, what do you call it, like what you see in total white structure. Because they become a composite. This is the next step of the knowledge you have to realize. Now you have a composition of nano and a GANS together. And we know that the nanomaterials, nothing can stick to them, but they create magnetic fields. But because the GANS is mainly made of themselves, of the same strength, so they can link together, but they cannot, what do you call it, stick together. And that's why you get like tissue flexibility, sliding over each other. Because if you see they are very loose, they stay in that condition, because it is not a physical lock and key, it's a magnetic field, the strength variation, which gets added and reduced, so it creates a motion. In so many ways.
In that picture Rick just showed, there's one red thing in there, a red sphere. I don't know what that is. Can you go back, Rick?
Is this the picture through it?
No, go back, Rick, to the last one you just had on. See
on the red spot there.
Yeah, you can see that there's a red sphere in the middle in the container also.
Good morning. You've seen a lot of red spheres in almonds, zinc container or copper container. It means most probably you had an iron which is linked up with the protein. If it is, you can get it out isolated. Most probably you see the behavior of hemoglobin.
Okay.
A fat of your finger, your fingerprint, carried the metal or somewhere in the liquid there was an iron, which is nano size, and then it becomes GANS size, and now because of its GANS state has linked up with amino acid of your fingerprint. But it's millions of them, or that they make in one point. If it was just one nano, you will not see it so easy, but it's there and it reflects the light by the totality.
In the next video, you can see some yellow spots. Are they floating, Brett? Those yellowish gold sort of things?
Yeah, they're just floating around in the container, yeah.
Can you explain to him?
I didn't see the gold until I took video of it. Inside there, you can see in the background, in the bottom of the container, those were nano copper wires, but they're iron inside. They're just coated with copper, and I left them in the salt water for a long time, and it produced several different colored ganses, and eventually turned black. But then I left it there forever, and it just started growing all this weird stuff in it.
If you look, can you stop? Go back where you were. You see, it looks like what do you call it? Spaghetti. If you look,
yeah, that's is that a scrubby pad you use, Brett? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
it's the copper coated steel scrubby pad, I think. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and some of the layers fell off of it in different time frames, and then it just started growing stuff all over it.
And that
how's your mustache doing?
I haven't checked it yet. I just left it alone.
Doesn't it shaving?
I don't know, maybe.
I have to try to find that picture. I'm not sure if I have it handy here.
But the gold.
How's the deuterium water doing?
That's fine so far. I haven't done anything with it. Nothing yet. I'm moving all my stuff to my garage.
Oh God, it must be a very big garage. Everything is big. Listen, except one thing, unfortunately. Try to, if you have a lot of it, try to produce and place a copper coat exactly like the way you do CO2, and use part of your water, if it's more than you can handle, copper with copper. And let us know if the copper oxide in tritium water is different than the one we produce in normal water.
Okay, I can always get more if I want to, so.
I know where you get it from. Can you tell them to send us some too?
I can.
Or do we have to speak with CIA for it?
No, I don't get it from them.
You get it from higher, you mean? No problem. They don't have it, but they know where to get it to you. Okay, let's see what it'll be nice to see if what do you call it? If by changing the water, and we will get the different what do you call it, materials. I have a very curious almond sitting next to me. Says, "Can I have some? I'm in Los Angeles. I can pick it up."
Maybe I'll bring them some.
Good. Okay. Can you explain the rest to us, please?
Speaking of unusual materials, there is another picture of Brett's here that's quite interesting. It'd be fun to get his.
Go back to that
his
picture you
input.
just had before, the container, real quick, because Keshe
Okay.
talked about the water. I just want to.
No, you mean the one of the blue GANs in it, or
Yeah,
the video?
No, there's the picture one you had before this.
Okay. Got it. It should come up in a few seconds here.
Okay, I just wanted to say that these are two containers inside of each other, and underneath it was a CH3, but it's producing water in there. It's just getting more and more and more. So I just wanted to point that out because Keshe mentioned the water production.
Yeah. Did you produce caustic in the container outside before?
Yeah.
Okay. No. Okay.
Is that the picture you meant, Brett, on there now?
Yeah, I think it's caustic coated. I don't know. Some of them are, some of them aren't. I think this is, though. I mean, I can check with the meter.
From next month, from May, we are opening a laboratory in the university where you can send your materials for us to tell you what it is using the Raman spectroscopy. And we are building up our own data library because nobody in the world has seen such a thing to do it. So we start creating a data library for the GANS of plasmas in the university. This will be downloaded on the server. You can just go and check on the bandwidth and the, what do you call it, the materials we should have put in public. Now, tell us what is this?
These are, when I was cleaning stuff up, moving out, I found containers I had piled up on all this other crap. And I looked inside of them, on the bottom of them, and they were growing crystals. And this is one of the crystals. It's an emerald greenish color. It has blue specks in it. And there's other ones that are growing that are blue with tinges of green and then white on the outside.
What was in it originally? What did you do in there?
It was a plastic container, and it had zinc wire, copper wire, and plastic in there. And I left it in the solution, and I just left it there.
The solution of what? What was it in it? Was it caustic in it?
I had 3 different containers. One has sodium hydroxide. One has sodium hydroxide with potassium hydroxide, and the other one has sodium hydroxide with ammonium nitrate.
Yeah, and you put metals in it, or you just put things in it?
No, it has the nanowires in it. And I just left it there. And one of the containers, the water is actually turned blue also. Or the solution.
Was it plastic in it?
Yeah, there's plastic in there.
Yeah, that's the behavior of plastic. Was it the wire coated with plastic, or is it just a plastic on its own?
No, there's plastic on its own with the wires in there also.
No, I mean the wires where did they have a cover, plastic cover?
No, they didn't. They were just regular.
We see these kind of structures when you have a CH bond in it, plastic. This kind of blue usually comes with CH bond, and we've seen that indigo color with almond because of the CH bond. Anything with a plastic or sugar base creates this kind of GANS materials in this color. It's to do with the orientation of the carbon.
Okay, so this is like a crystal GANS? I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say about that, Brett? About your... Is there more that I might have missed?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think we covered it.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Bring these with you. We try to test it and tell you what it is.
Okay.
In the foundation, across knowledge seekers, we have to start creating new data, new information base, and the new tools that we all understand the same thing. We were discussing yesterday, and we looked at other things yesterday. The plasmatic, like Raman spectroscopy should not cost more than $20–30. We see it can be done. So if you manage to do it, you will not be needed to pay €20,000 to just buy a Raman spectroscopy. The whole object is to make it reachable, accessible by everyone, that they can add to the knowledge. So, and we have a beautiful team here which can do and produce these things.
There was a question in the live stream. Can we mail? Where did it go there? Can we mail these? Can we mail the samples to SSI? Would that be? Oh, just a minute. Sorry, the microphone. Go ahead. Sorry. Say again. You have to.
Yes, in May we will appoint. There is a very clear distinction has to be made that Keshe Foundation, SSI, GHOS is to do only with teaching. But the Keshe Foundation as a foundation is totally separate. And not all the work goes to Keshe Foundation Space Institute because they are not, the facilities and the process is not there. Some of the materials which comes to SSI or sent to SSI will be filtered outside because we don't have the time and the facilities for it. And in time, the work of the foundation stays the work of foundation, the work of the SSI stays the work of SSI as a university. And the Keshe Foundation Space SSI in Italy is exclusive for appointed, licensed by the foundation in Holland to work only in Bari. So we do the same thing with other locations, other countries. If you want to set up like an institute and universities, you will be given monotonous job. You stand independent of each other, but still carry and work through the foundation. You can send everything once we open the institute, if it's to do with the job of institute, but the foundation keeps its identity totally separate. And we don't mix the two together. This is very important for people who work or come through the foundation. Foundation as a teaching organization will stay internationally open, the same structure. And in a way, the teaching of the Tuesdays and Wednesdays is more work of the Keshe Foundation than the Institute. Because with the Institute work, you cannot discuss the ethics, the politics, and the economical situation and the space situation, where in the university is narrowed to what is taught the subject of teaching. I don't know what's the condition at the moment in our lab. We have lost our camera. It's just showing the SSI, the old lab. We don't know. Maybe we already flown. We don't know. Maybe we crashed. We don't know. Maybe we are still standing still. But we know by tonight when we get home. Any other question?
Okay. What else do we have here? Have a question from? Well, we do have a question that's interesting from someone called Tammy from from, well, Tammy Bouchard is her name, and she says, "Hi, my name is Tammy. I like this foundation. Make sure. And just wondering how a person would invest in this company. Can you please help? I do not wish to donate, but to invest. Thanks, Tammy." So there are people that feel they would like to invest in the Keshe Foundation or Spaceship Institute, or perhaps in some offshoot company or something that may form from some of the things that come out from the university or whatever. Can you give some advice to people who would like to be investors? Is there any room for investment or only for donations?
You can invest with the teams or companies which do the manufacturing, or you can invest in a spin-off. But there is a big question mark for the people who want to invest or be part of the original spin-off investment. What they call it in the present condition, they call it angels. The new way which we work, you have to think the new way too. Which means there are no patterns. You are protected by your honesty and how much you want to make and how much you allow for yours to what market to cover. Because once you produce something, it's open for the other ones to replicate. So, but the disadvantage of your problem with your investment is the 7 billion of us. You got to be a better, what do you call it, performer to attract people to your way. This is going to be one of the most interesting time in the human race. I develop something, but you can have it too. Let's see which one of us does better. If you are of that ethos, you can invest. We show you where to invest. We are setting up a spin-offs. You can have a share in the spin-offs, but knowing that the spin-off creates its own competition to spread the knowledge and the technology as fast as possible. As we say in English, you need very, very big guts to enter this market if your purpose is to serve and not just make money out of it. You can make a lot of money out of it, but you have to realize the knowledge is free. Actually, your competition can help you to develop more. It's very interesting. I was told by Marco, I think this week, somebody in China, they're building their star formation from the teachings, and they want to send one to us as a gift, I think. But the strange thing is they don't send us saying, okay, whatever we sell, we are prepared to put a percentage into the foundation for further research. In a way, we do what you told us, but we try to benefit by it. It's no problem. We are big enough, and we spread the knowledge freely. There are a number of organizations I know around the world who are trying to see the first results in a different way from the star formation that they can replicate it. There is a warning. There are companies, we've seen one, I think Wolf has sent me one, and we are aware of this in South America, which they say Keshe power generator, and they put our patents, copy of patents which are in public and the rest of the thing that they are selling or doing to do with the power generators. These are all, that's what brings the technology open. It's like this brings people in to do things. On the other hand, what we have done is very open and we have put it there. They don't get associated with us. A lot of people are making a lot of things around the foundation which has nothing to do with foundation. But if you work with the scientists or people what we call knowledge seekers around the foundation, and you want to invest in development, there is a huge amount of investment opportunity. But my question goes back again, how much greenback can you sell in the space? we are a space development and we take the knowledge with us. So depends how many pieces and how you want to promote yourself. But as there is no patent, whatever you put in, because the initial knowledge comes from the foundation, is patent free. We need a lot of investment at the moment as a spin-off in water development, water and soil decontamination. You can send your request, you can put your money, if you don't want to donate it to get benefited by it, back in the foundation, but it'll be open in public, and whatever we produce, it'll be produced publicly and the other ones can replicate it.
Mr. Keshe, I wanted to show you a new product that just came out that I thought would be a good sort of competition in a way. It might be inspiring to some of the Keshe people to get going and develop something like this product. And what it is it's called the Primer Cube. And it's based on the same fellow, David Lapointe, who did the Primer Fields video using plasma and the magnets and so on. And he showed how the two convex magnets together would create a certain plasma field with the high voltage we're talking about. So he's created, spent a couple of years, a few years putting together this product, which is a plasma field generator, and it creates a certain field that supposedly has a lot of well, they make a lot of claims for it, both health claims and do all kinds of things.
Can we ask this? It's just something came on the FaceTime. It's called Magrav Dynamics. Who is this guy advertising about what? You all can email me at rolandmagravdynamic@gmail.com.
I'm not sure who Magrav Dynamics is, actually.
It's Robert Lalem.
Pardon?
It's Robert Lalem. He's been around for a long time.
Yeah,
okay, so he's a distributor? I guess.
I do believe so.
Is that right? Okay.
Of what? In what respect? For what? For the products from China?
I think so.
I believe so, yeah. If he can say something about that.
Might take him a moment to hear that.
Okay, can we have him online? Can you stop this one line? Because people
sure.
can't advertise. We will provide in the website a link for all the distributors which work with the foundation in different products. But
we can't be advertising in the live stream, you mean?
No. Okay. We will give a section to people around the world who are the Keshe foundations, or the products can be bought from them through the foundation. But please do not use the chat rooms for attracting anything. We give you your place on the new website, which are working on in time.
Okay, that's fair. So
just confused, Mr. Keshe, about what?
Well, by putting his email address in and suggesting that people could get a hold of him through the email address and so on, which is what turned up.
Okay, can you explain to us what you were showing us, please?
Okay, so this is called the Primer Cube, and it's a little square box with a couple of knobs on it. It makes this some kind of high voltage plasma field inside, and you can actually, it makes a sound. You can hear the sound there. I'll turn my volume down for a minute.
What does it do? What is it for?
It's got a very long list of things that it does, and it creates a field around it. You'll see the animation here in a second or a minute or so. and it supposedly is able to. Well, they say it can cure or treat various diseases from arthritis to sciatica, and for healing and for creating a field of there you see the little animation will come in. It's called a structured ionic field, which is emitted through the frequencies that are used, and it seems to project out for a couple of meters or so from the unit, and its health benefits for biological life forms, it says, and humans, animals, and even plants. And they make a lot of claims for it on their website that is pretty hard to believe, but on the other hand, it's the same type of claims that the Keshe technology, once it's more mature, will be fully capable of, in my estimation. So to me, this is sort of just a little taste of the way the Keshe technology could go in the near future, with products like this that might be useful with their fields that are emitted rather than the materials that are made and so on.
We shall see. Time will tell. But I've seen the present, what I call the babies of the systems of the future, and it is very much different. We have now working systems which we're trying, and we have seen the results. But it's a research. They've done their work, and we have to respect it. And we release our work, and in time, we'll see where we go.
I notice.
Any other question?
I noticed on a different topic that there's a headline: Iran plans to use nano clay particles to control haze. So they're using nanoparticles of clay, let me get it up on here, to control air pollution. And I'm wondering if you had any comments, because you were mentioning in the last workshop about plans to control air and water pollution through Keshe technology, and wondering if this is associated at all with what you had in mind, or is this something totally different? They're planning on putting 150 tons of nano clay to try to stop the formation of haze in this 3,000 hectare area.
You got to understand what you see on the picture in Tehran. This is the new tower, which is trying to become a symbol of Tehran. In Tehran, the smog is so bad that you cannot see a kilometer down sometimes down the road. Especially this is from north of Tehran. So as I said, Iran is very advanced in nano work, and they have their own ways of trying to find a solution.
They're currently they're currently number 7 in the world in nanotechnology, apparently, with the new papers that are released every year and so on. So rapidly increasing. They were 8th last year, now they're 7th and still going up. So anyway, go ahead.
The point is, if you can extract the CO2 from the environment, you find out half of the materials in the air will not have nothing to sustain to. They will what do you call it? They will land. They will settle on the ground. The problem is where you want to end up with your end products. If you use systems like the CO2 box, extracting the CO2, you won't have a pollution like this. Because part of the gas of CO2 is what these materials stick to or link up to as part of the pollution. And this is one of the things which primarily, as I explained just a few minutes ago, one of the spin-offs of the Keshe Foundation is air pollution, water and land. And we will most probably set up the spin-off even before we start the teaching, because the process for it is already started. You can go and try to extract all the bits, or you can take the common denominator out, and then the rest will not stick to it. But the problem is, once you take the common denominator, because it is CO2, then all these poisons, all the material, not poisons, but all the materials which are floating, they'll be landing. You can extract. You can extract as much different materials from the environment, but it's easier to take the, what I call the legs of it. The whole structure will fall. The reason they use clay is because clay is a composite. Composite nanomaterials have a spectrum of materials which are in the air, or what they've done most probably is they have identified the elements of which are polluting, the ones which are physical matter. They have made the nanomaterials of it, they have put it in ceramic, and they've done exactly what we've seen with Pratt earlier on. The nanomaterials linking to the GANS of the same material. So they are absorbing, extracting it, and most probably as a ceramic they can wash it off. But how many tons and can you cover the whole lot is a totally different proposition. But as I've suggested to the Chinese, the same. It's easier to do the process through CO2. But on the other hand, once you extract the CO2, how we're going to collect everything which is landing off the air? We take the legs off, we take the common denominator out, but we do not solve the, what you call, the elements which are floating with it. We will in the coming weeks and months, now that we are in the institute, there are buildings around us which we will utilize to develop these kind of systems for different governments. Very interesting. Everybody is interested that how much money they can do. It says, are there any valuable rare earth materials to extract from air pollution? If yes, this should attract investors.
Well, there is one point of view, you might say, that in order to get things moving in the world and get people to actually integrate the technology will require investors to initiate the mass productions and be able to you know, disseminate these things to people at a reasonable price because of mass production.
You know something? Yeah, in Italy we are sitting with the biggest financiers. They literally rule the world with their finances. I don't think we are short of a few bob here and there if you ask. And we are in south of Italy. And they are good friends. They are very good friends around here if they want to be friends.
Right.
So it's not lack of finance. It's a lack of having the expertise to be able to serve humanity in the correct way by being able to develop the process. I know I have the same thing. We have some of the very rich people around the foundation which we talk to and we see, who are sitting to invest when the foundation is ready to release. We have bankers in Czechoslovakia and Czech Republic, which they flew with their private jet here trying to impress us. And they said the whole whatever is in the bank is open to you. They came with all their entourage. We have Chinese of the highest caliber with a finance of their own who want to do different part of technology. I think the whole process is not a matter of having the funds, it's a matter of training the expertise in next coming months and years to be able to decipher and produce new materials to serve humanity. The ones who want to put money to benefit it, they're quite welcome, because without them we can't do it. But on the other hand, what they invest, it won't be like before you can sell pennies for pounds. You might make your penny to 1 or 2, but not more, because the others will produce the same thing. That's a condition. Even with our collaborators here in south of Italy, we are very clear, nothing will be patented. They are fully aware of it. If you look at the release of the foundation, it's not a collaboration, it's a partnership. We stand as equal partners in technology we brought to university, and university stands equal partners, thus allowing us to take a, what do you call it, position as a university. We do not collaborate, but we become partners. We have become partners, and that's part of our agreement. Because they know in the long run, what we bring in will benefit the university. And already a structure has started to make the Keshe Independent Institute as a university in Italy before I'm in a few weeks' time. The people who will attend the opening of the inauguration of the institute as a university with Loom on the 23rd, we will see the caliber of the people from Italy and around the world who will be present. They'll be not ordinary people. These are all leaders in the industry and in scientific world in Italy. We are not interested in the news and as Luciana likes to say, CNN news. We are interested to attract, and we have done, we have a list of the people who will attend and are invited to be invited in that inauguration of the highest level scientific companies, investing companies who come to take part of the technology with them, unconditionally free. And let's see how they contribute into society. You will see that the university will have its own structure, way of working, and the others will follow us, because there is no patent, there is no restriction in the knowledge transfer. We have already established line of communication with major nano universities here, that they will be part of us. International companies are already invited to come once we set up, to see how they can use the knowledge in their factories in production of new systems. It's a change of ethos. As I said to one of our guys a couple of days ago here in the university, he said, how is it work? I said, we give them so much that they become ashamed of taking free, they'll put something back in one day. I explained, it's like you take somebody for lunch every day and he comes to the end and says, every time this guy pays, at least I have to pay once. And then when they start paying once, they get used to it, that is equal, they pay all the time equal. We have to teach a new way of thinking, a new way of working. And as we are not dependent on, in a way, commercialization is part of the benefit of the space technology, we get benefit by developing our technologies for the space much further and better. You want to invest? Contact the foundation. But you have to know you won't become Bill Gates. It's unethical investment in an ethical system.
Sorry, could you say that again, Mr.?
I said it's unethical investment in an ethical system. It's unethical to you because you always look for big profits to become rich, and the Foundation's ethic does not do that. It allows you to all have equal. So it's a problem for you, not for us.
Sorry, your live
It's
stream
not
didn't
a
come
high
through.
risk. It's a, what I call is a secure, low, guaranteed return investment.
So it would
And
be
the thing is,
secure in that sense.
you are limited to your own nation, more or less, or maybe a couple of nations around you. Because other Keshe foundations and other scientists will replicate the things for their own. I think the economy of the world through this way will become much better because we become self-sufficient, but at the same time, we respect each other's, what do you call it, position.
Well, one thing,
It's much easier when you don't have worried about the competition, and when you don't have to worry about, because you know the competition has the same thing as you have, then you work in a much easier, comfortable environment.
I know that we do see a lot more companies that have passed on the patent process and said, no, we're not going to patent, we're just going to go directly to market. It's actually quicker and more effective to do that, and we don't have all these cross lawsuits happening and this kind of thing. Just go and do it rather than spending all the time and lawyers to try to prevent things from happening and to protect yourself and so on with this so-called protect yourself with the patent process, which you're finding out is not that protective, and that's why they're not
Put
getting
it this
into it
way.
as much.
Let me just put it maybe in one or two sentences. We have opened one of the most important patents ever written. If we are not afraid of losing, so should be the people who are interested in a fraction of the totality. And you can see what it's brought us. When you open it freely and you allow everybody else does, in a way others say he's doing it, it's not worth for me to do it because it's the same thing. We see it now in China with the CO2 units. It's free, everybody can make it. But even the Italians have decided we don't produce the CO2 because it's easier to get it from China. This is the balance which will come. Or you make it in a pink color, I would like to make it in the red color. That's where the challenge will come, that's where the change will come. As I said, we don't endorse nobody to be the distributors of the Keshe Foundation. You become your own distributor. You can buy, you're given to you, is sent to you, and you can go around and sell your CO2 kits. There are no distributors there. It's the same with the pain pads. You got to understand, you're not to be afraid of what is going and what is happening. There is a, let me explain to you something which is very interesting. There is a huge part of the Belgium investigation which they put on the paper we've seen, that we are involved in fraud. We are asking for a lot of money for our systems which are, they don't understand, they call it magnets. So we are fraud, a scam fraud. But the thing is, on our website has been, up to that point where we changed our policy to donation, that you could claim back. You request back. And if it was written in your contract, you get it back. We were free and we did. If it's not in your contract, it's not allowed. You are not, but people who ask for it, it's been put in. We are not afraid and we do not set scams to be there. We leave it free for people to do. It's the same with our patents, it's the same with our work and spin-offs. No one will open a spin-off laboratory into public to see. If you look in all the teachings of past few months, we have released so much information that it could be hundreds of thousands of spin-offs to be made of it. Nobody has picked up on it. Even when we showed the CO2 kit, nobody picked on it. Even when we showed the paint pad, nobody picked on it. In the coming weeks and months, you will see huge number of products coming from the Keshe Foundation website. You can go to the directly, we give, anybody has requested, can I have distribution? We give the, what do you call it? Magna, what's his name? Omega Quantum, directly, to go there. Or we say you can send it to us, you become the agent and the rest. Why should we waste time? If you see, you can see the benefit with the paint pad, order in a quantity which you can order from the information or sales at Omega, Magnum Omega Quantum, and distribute it. You make a good living out of it, most probably. Nobody is an official distributor. We have not appointed and will never appoint. But if you want to distribute between the others, or sell or retail, or put in your chain of health shops, or take it to the chemist and distribute it, it's your right. We don't employ, we don't give contract of exclusivity. Because we are not exclusive ourselves, how can we give it? So we're giving it free already. If you are worried about investing or you want to invest or for a spin-offs, the return will be very nominal. It won't be becoming Bill Gates job, as I say. Those thievings have finished. The only thing Bill Gates will get from all the things he's done, and what we see is happening in India with the other things which are in the news, it may be a beautiful Colosseum, maybe a good, what you call, mausoleum for him. Is there, you want to invest for humanity and be benefited by that, you can make a living, the spin-offs are there. We are looking for a spin-offs. We have no, what do you call it, problem in allowing, or you can come, I want to invest, if you can put researchers to develop this part of technology for me, but you should know that yes, we do, but it'll be open to the others. Any other question?
I'd like to bring up that you haven't really heard anything much about yet, which is the survival of humanity event that's going on March 27th to March 29th. And I see your picture up at the top there, Mr. Keshe. So apparently you're a speaker there. And
I know, but where am I speaking and who am I speaking to?
Well, the
Only
event,
from what I know, one of the ladies who is a scientist who is on this picture, I don't know which one it is, I received an email, has already been assassinated last month. I don't know which one it is.
I did, there was something on their site about one of the, they made it as an assassination. I believe they died of cancer.
But it was a cancer.
Yeah, so it's hard to say. I mean, that's how someone could be assassinated, or it could be just chance. But They did bring that up, yes. But the idea is that you wouldn't.
I don't know where
you're,
this thing is.
you're
Am
not
I?
going there. I don't think it's in the U.S. In I think it's in L.A. But you would be
This
there
is something
by
to.
Skype or some other means. I presume live stream or
Uh,
Skype.
I think this is to do with the guy called Fred. We given a talk in a couple of their
There's
presentations.
Alfred Weber. You mean or?
No,
Somebody
no.
else.
If it is, I'm supposed to give a. I've done with these people a few times. What do you call it? But I'm not supposed to be anywhere. The Americans won't give me a visa to go.
Right. So that's why I mean it would be over over
I don't
Skype
know
or some
what
other
it
means.
is. If it is what I think could be, maybe yes. But I'm not a speaker. I will not be attending because Mr. Obama doesn't like me in his territory.
Yes, I
So-
recognize that.
I remember Dan Winter speaking there too. He said that you both were going to do internet speaking thing there through the internet.
Who's doing it?
Dan Winter was going to speak there too.
Now into.
Yeah, he's speaking there too, and he was telling me about it that you were going to speak there, but you guys were going to do it through the internet or something. This was, a while back when he told me.
We'll see. If it's like I received any, because we don't do any more presentations, and with the structure of the university, presentations are more or less, we do a presentation 7-8 hours a week by different teaching. I have accepted a TV, what do you call it, internet TV presentation through Camelot, through Keshe, but that's, I think, is sometimes off before it comes on. And most probably it will not reflect the work of the foundation. Depends how Carrie wants it to be done as a TV presentation, or what they call TV presentation.
Well, with the title of Survival of Humanity, you could practically give any of your lectures, and it would be appropriate for that topic. So
We'll see what it is. Martin, so do you want to take me with you? I can go in your suitcase. You're going tomorrow. No, that's not big enough bag. No, yeah, you can shrink me. Take me as a GANS and redevelop me back. Okay, any other question?
Well, there is a question from Jamie Welton. I have a similar reactor of Armand's.
Stop. If you go back on the picture which you have on the net, go down right in the center below the circle. There's a guy on the right hand side with a beard. Next to the two ladies, the first line. This is the guy who has invited me to speak somewhere. So it most probably has got something to do with him.
The fellow that's called the movement founder, is that what you mean there? The
No, go to the right.
Farman,
Yes,
is his name?
Farman.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the guy who invited us, because we already given 2 or 3 talks in different conferences he's had in London and other places.
Okay.
He's a Iranian, and that's how he asked us to do it. Okay.
Yeah, he seems to have organized it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it must be the same.
Good.
Then I do speak there, yeah. But it's a Skype. We can send Armand there. He can talk while I'm talking. It looks like him talking, but it'll be the same. Do you want to come back on 27th? 20th? Oh, good. No problem. Okay, next slide.
Okay, there's a question from Jamie Welton. He says, I have a similar reactor of Armand's AC reactor, except with a double core. I have CuO GANs in outer core and CO2 in the inner core. Should I switch these?
What?
Let me see if I can get a picture up. Oh no, that's the other one. Okay, I'll just give you that again. I have a similar reactor of Armand's. It says AC reactor. Someone give me a hint on what AC means. AC reactor, except with a double core. I have copper oxide GANs in the outer core and CO2 in the inner core. Should I switch these?
Why not? Teach us. We are here to learn.
That's great.
Yeah, we are all knowledge seekers. Teach us what you see and how you see. You have to realize what is when you do. With one, you pull in the gravity. With one, you pull out the magnetical field. The stronger will dictate. What will be interesting is to measure the gravitational magnetic field between the two. Because you have an empty gap.
Okay, that's a good hint.
Anything else?
I don't have anything else lined up here. We're at 2 hours and 11 minutes into it right now, and but we started late, so it's actually more like 2.5 hours. And
okay, let us go back. Maybe we can add to the knowledge. In part of the development of reactors, which we used gas, original reactors. In merging the gas reactors with the GANS reactors, in the coming time we will show you can create new dimension composite reactors. Where what I taught earlier today, you can allow the GANS reactors feed, for example, in the center, in a plasmatic magnetic field, in a gamma ray, let's say, level, to become the energy supplier to the plasma of the helium or hydrogen in the center of the core. This is a major breakthrough if you understand what I just explained. This is bypassing the production and use of nuclear materials in gas reactors. As I said, in the Iranian space technology, we use gases with nuclear material. Using and creating a right condition in your reactors, now that you have learned the use of GANS, you should be able to create composite reactors where in the environment of a gas, in the gaseous reactors, you can position GANS materials to become the source of radiation for your gas reactors. This converts the plasmatic GANS as a gamma ray, if you can get it right, into gamma ray radiation. These are the future components of very much like X-ray machines. But you need this in deep space. You do not carry nuclear material, but using a composite system like a GANS and a gas, you slow or you add to the fields or you convert the field to the radiation which you need. So, in a way, this is a goodbye to nuclear technology as we have known. Because with this process, you understood, hopefully, that the neutrons release a spectrum of the fields. And what is the fields you do not see, and the man's knowledge has not been there to observe above gamma ray, you slow the plasma down, and in that process, like a light, you release the field you need. This is unknown science, but now you have the knowledge to be able to use it. You have seen this, but you have never understood it. In the old lab, where we had the spherical copper systems, where we achieve 129 Tesla, the fields of the GANS creating the free plasma in interaction with the plasma of the hydrogen, which we created in the two other sets, one in the box and one on its way, led to creation of these kind of fields, but in a plasmatic length. That's why the detectors were making a lot of gamma radiation noise background at the plasma level, but there were no radiation in the room. If you replay the noise of the lab in that time, you hear it clearly. So, what was and what the foundation was stopped to use nuclear material, and we were accused of everything. Now the world of science has the knowledge freely. You do not need to look for nuclear material like a fire detector's material or a gamma source to be able to add to the energy of the plasma in the center of the core to create a strong, rapid gravitational magnetic field system. Because as you have seen, as you have measured, the field emission from your free plasma is in the plasmatic level. And as you have created the plasma hydrogen in the middle, it'll absorb very rapidly. As I said, and that's what I started teaching up here last week and this week, is to show you, to take you in the space plasma technology. So now you use not only two plasmas to produce molecular plasma like Armand done. Now you merge and use plasmas, field strength, to produce and release what you need to do. This is what happens in upper atmosphere between the plasmatic gravitational magnetic field of the Earth and the Sun, and the byproduct of this interaction is nitrogen. So the ones like with the question we just had, I have copper oxide inside and then I have two cores. If you have created such a small reactor, which you have in your hand, vacuum and put gas, if you've seen the way we worked, originally in the first few months of the operation, and allow the fields which are passing through your center core, if it's strong enough, to become the energizer of your gaseous, or vice versa. I was teaching about something about this yesterday to the knowledge seekers, and I said, don't say anything till we release it. But you have to understand what it means and what you're doing. As I said, now with the opening of the Institute, we open the knowledge of man to live, work, understand, and in a way life is run its life through the plasmatic condition as the universe does, not to the matter level. Now we merge the old original system of the plasma in the gas with the second part, which is the GANS. One of the things which you have to understand, which has not been fully comprehended, is the principle and the fact that with the GANS there is no barrier. It's the field, and even the containment, because it's made of magnetic fields, is part of the structure, that the fields flow irrespective of the matter. If it's very hard to understand, is literally is to put a magnet under a table and put a magnet on top of the table. It's irrelevant how much the ceramic and if it's a wood or metal. The matter barrier is irrelevant. And now you have the same thing in the GANS. The matter barrier which you put to contain the GANS is irrelevant, because it's the field of the GANS which does it, not the presence of the GANS. If you understand this, you will start new spin-offs, new type of existence. This answers those who said, don't eat GANS. We never told you GANS, but we tell you how to eat GANS, the property of the GANS. You want the property of, let's say, banana. You make a GANS which gives the energy of the banana, you put your water inside it, and you drink the water. You don't touch the GANS. This is how our health operation has been running. You want to grow material, you don't need to put GANS in the water. You make a container which carries GANS, and you put your flower in it, the roots of it receives the nourishment. This is the way the universe works. Move away from containment of physicality. Those who've been running around and doing all sorts of stupid things about GANS, understand what a strength that gas put in what liquid. In orange juice gives you different strength, in the apple juice gives you different strength, in the water gives you different strength. Maybe a GANS of something with apple gives a GANS of, let's say, banana. So in fact you don't drink apple, but you're drinking banana. The same thing goes to our Chinese colleagues in harvest, in the seed. Walk away from barrier of physicality. I was explaining this yesterday to Armand and Marco. You call them, what do you call it? The water feed system that you grow plant, hydroponic. Now you have plasmaphonic or gansophonic, whatever you like to call it, it'll phone in and it'll receive the message. You don't need to create or sink your seed in the GANS. For them who are scaremongers to work and say this and that, you use the energy of the plasma. You do the same thing with your reactors. You've seen it, but you've been blind to it. you store the same operation as producing water last week. You have to start very rapidly, extend the knowledge, understand the knowledge, understand the application and implication of it, and walk away from matter-restricted gravitational magnetic field force. You can make cups which only in conjunction with different liquids give you different variety of energies. Plasmatic gravitational magnetic field energies. Because the gravitational magnetical fields are both what you need and it takes from what your body doesn't want. This is the beauty. This is what, as I use my terminology, you haven't understood. When you take an entity which is plasmatic, which has both gravitational and magnetical, you take from it what you need, and it takes from you what you don't need. And that's why it brings balance. And this is what you have never understood. And that's why the operation is so smooth and you don't need megawatts and kilowatts. You work in nano plasmatic watts. Because with the habit of man, what do I get when I put money in spin-off? What is in for me? You don't look. When I put in, the knowledge is spread, he helps the other humanity. It doesn't matter if I take little. But in the process of creation, because it's plasmatic, it gives magnetically. What you need, you take from it. And it takes from you gravitationally what you don't need, so you find balance. This is the process even with the digestion system. When you pass food to your stomach, when it comes a GANS, always, even when we spoke through with Dr. Elia about the health section, that the energy passes through the wall. At the same time, what the GANS's limbs have absorbed or the blood absorbed which doesn't need, it gets attracted back into the intestine. Through the same plasmatic gravitational field environment. It's the same way as we said, a GANS in your center core, as you suggested, if you change it, what energy would give to the outside, or what energy gives to the inside, or what does it take from outside inside? If you create a condition that is the same as the intestine, as we explained, different lining part of the intestine extracts certain type of plasma from the food that it adds to the lymph. But at the same time, it does the reverse too, because it's plasmatic, gravitational, magnetical. What is not needed crosses the wall into it as well, and in different sections, the enzymes and all the acidity which is added by the pancreas and by the other parts into the digestion system is to say what is not needed, that it can be absorbed, because what you've taken in is already there to give. This is what, again, what the world of science doesn't understand in the health section, in the medical side. The juices from pancreas, or what you get added with it, is to say what the stomach can accept from the limbs as a waste product, as what is not needed. But the world of science only looks at it, what it does to add. Is the information of rejection, is not the information of adding. That's why you have to go to the next step to understand that you have to understand the totality. You are very much materialistic and you are very much one directional rays. Everything has to be matter and everything is a radiation. But in fact, everything is plasmatic and everything is gravitational and magnetical. When you created a core, which one side has got a CO2, copper oxide as a GANS, or CH3 as a GANS, now you have created a source of energy. Do we need nuclear materials? If you understood, no. Do we need, and what will happen? The gas outside, or the material outside, becomes the lymph, and the core inside becomes the intestine. Or vice versa. Depends what you want to take and what you want to add into. As I said earlier on, in the university, when you join it, you will learn every subject, but all together at the same time. Then you make correlation, you correlate one with the other one, you understand how it's connected and how it can be done. If you don't understand it in one way, you will understand it in another way. So we will not have a specialist, but we have the people who understand the totality. And this takes time. Change of habit takes time. You can't take a drug addict after the injection in one go. You've been drugged so much in the matter state that you don't even know where you are. So when you speak about the two cores, you have a GANS inside. Now go to the next step. Make one GANS. People like Gert, who made the reactor in Belgium with a single core, you can add a GANS inside in the center core. But make sure your GANS field is strong enough in what level it becomes to what radiation. In a plasmatic level, that it can give you what you need to achieve lift. When we have the GANS of deuterium and we load up the system with the hydrogen, this will be very, very easy to achieve. Because you can add and dictate by the thickness and the pressure of the gravitational magnetic field of the GANS or the gas, which the gas is easier, so we use a physical pressure to create the condition of the flow and the pressure of the magnetic field and lift. You have to, every morning you wake up, for example, and say, I'm going to think in GANS way, not in the matter way. A few days you'll be dizzy, but gradually you find your way. And then you will developing in new beautiful systems. Armand is going through that way, but he's still in half a schizophrenic, more GANS than the matter, but it's still somewhere gets lost in between. The tube which you see on the table, which is connected to the power supply, is a representation of it. So maybe today we will learn something slightly new to bring the total work of the whole year together. We started with making gas materials. We made the nano layers. The gas was made. We tested the GANS, and parallel while we were doing that, we start testing of the gas reactors. And now we bring the 2 points of the science knowledge together in one point. You don't need to create radioactive material and carry radioactive material with you in space, because now you understand with the knowledge, the mixture of GANS and a gas, you can produce any radiation anywhere in the universe. If the point of need is a rapid delivery of energy, that's what nuclear is. That's what the radiation industry is, rapid delivery of fields, both in plasmatic and gravitational, or gravitation in one way or magnetic in the other. So 1 year of work today comes together and merges, and then you can see the connection. Then, if you understand this, you can go a step further and mix the universal systems, which is the combination of a GANS and a gas together. Then you will see the performance of your free plasma. A speed beyond the level of man's imagination in travel. Because now you dictate if you are taking from the plasma of the principle or on the edges of the transition. If you understood this, in a simple way you understand what Einstein explained at the speed of light in a matter state, it becomes limitation of existence of man. With this, you understand you can now go beyond the matter level at the level of the man's detection point. We go over this again and again in the coming weeks and months till the new systems are built, which are combination gas and GANS. And then you understand why we were looking for deuterium and trying through it with the Japanese organization Tritu. And that's why I started a discussion last week with the universe, structure of the universe, and today with the structure of the neutron and its work in the plasma of the atom. Why the radiation leaks beyond, and what radiation leaks beyond, you call it the gamma ray or X-ray. Now, you grab in the GANS state, what can you do with those gamma rays and X-rays? Because now you dictate. And the rays above gamma and beyond are easier to produce and work in a matter or a transition or a principal strength. Now the speed of light becomes a child's play. Would you like to go with a donkey? With the speed of donkey or a jumbo jet? But you have to understand, you have to start bringing the two together if you want to go to the next step. You have to take the shackles of matter off your hands and feet, and especially from your brain. Then you start working in a very fast way. What will be nice to see is people who had the gas reactors, and by having we also teaching more and more, emphasizing on the GANS, they got disappointed with their work, but you actually got the best systems in your hand, because the ones who have the small reactors need to somehow merge it to make a composition of what you have, where now you can use your center core, if you can reduce it into a GANS state, but more powerful GANSs. Start looking for heavier materials to make GANS of, or go down to the single plasma with the deuterium. And then, because you have already rotating reactors and you could create the compression with the gases, you will find out you reach the lift ignition very quickly. 129 Tesla came from interaction of the plasma from the GANS and the plasmas which were in the other reactors which were made by hydrogen. No one ever understood how you achieved 129. Now you understand how. Because the GANS field of strength is much higher than the GANS at the gas plasma. So they flew towards it, they pulled, and by setting off the detector in the line of interaction, we detected it. Now do the same thing in your reactors, especially those who've been working on the gas reactors. Ignition left should be very, very rapid if you get it right, if you understood it. So in a way, today is the 52nd talk, but now you have more or less the totality. But there is a lot more to teach. But at least you know why you studied for 12 months. It's a graduation. But you have to understand how you graduated. And bring all the knowledge and read all the books and everything you've done from the beginning and all the knowledge you gathered in the gas and the GANS. Because there is one advantage with the human race is that they have understood the work of the matter, which makes the work of the plasma much easier. Even you are four-wheelers, but you can still use the four-wheelers knowledge in a different way.
Well, isn't that that's? Sorry, I was trying to unmute it. The point I was trying to make was that if you have the knowledge of the universe and you use that knowledge from, let's just call it day one, then you come to a place where we're using a very small percent of that knowledge, but still making very complex things to produce the same type of results in a different way. Once we get into that knowledge of the universe, then because we have the previous complexity in our minds, we should be able to do a lot more, should we not?
In a way, yes. But as I always say, you take it according to your level of understanding. The Russian scientists have understood this about 3 months ago. And they've used it, as they have said. They had a gravitation, but they didn't know how to work, and with the knowledge which we've been teaching, they gathered it and they put it together because they understood it. So you are 3 months behind Russian scientists to achieve it.
Seems one of the problems with the so-called scientific method is that for every experiment that proves or disproves something, it means that there's 2 experiments that have to be done from that because of the things that get unveiled, and it becomes like a division process of those 2 experiments mean you have to have 4 more and then 8 more and 16 more. It becomes a more and more thing rather than going backward to the core or the principle, toward the principal matter, the principle of the matter, you might say. It's going the opposite way toward all the manifestations, all the different ways and means and so on. It gets more and more complexity.
Yeah,
it's
in
sort
a way
of 2
you're
different
right.
directions that we should be going inward as well as outward, going for the simplicity and the complexity. Is that part of what we can do as humans?
Strange thing?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, in a way, yes, but the more questions you ask, the more things you do. You have a picture on the table with 2 reactors. You see both reactors are built by the Iranian scientists. These are the reactors which was gifted to me by the Office of the President of Iran when I left Iran. One is double core center gas reactor. This is running in the lab now. One is a source which is totally on its own. If you look, you see a lot of black spots all over the place, on the bottom, on the sides. The Iranians always told me, anything you could make a hole in, you have made a hole in, you put something in it. Because the more questions I asked, the more I had to find a solution, so the more holes we made to put things in. And all those you see gratings is all glues, composite glues. With different things connected, detached, attached. All over the place you see it's full of holes. Because, as Rick said, when you ask one question, you want to know the second. The, a lot of achievement through the space technology comes from development of these two reactors by the Iranian government. We still have them, we still use them because we still learn from them. This is a nuclear technology at the edge of science built by the Iranians. On one end, they are criminals, on the other end, the knowledge can be used for the same system. You ask a question, you add to it. The one on the left-hand side, the sphere in a frame, I could load it, and I know in which direction, in respect to the plasma in the one, the bigger one will fly. And we used to catch it in the lab. Because you can dictate in a double core, in the smaller one, is a copy of the Earth, which gas we would have fed in which core, and we would have replicated a different gravitational magnetic field in respect to the bigger one, so we could dictate the direction of the flight. Or positioning. The bigger one becomes a proton or nucleus, and the smaller one becomes an atom. With it, which is actually the electron itself. But this electron has one capability, and a proton or a neutron and a nucleus has one property. Both can create gravitational magnetic field because they are both double cores. I have caught the little one in flight quite a few times, and used to have a screws which used to cut in our hand when we used to catch it, like it just stands there and suddenly flies, and you try to catch a baseball before it lands on the floor.
Okay, Mr. Keshe, I have a question about that arrangement, if I may.
Yeah.
It has to do with what Vince had brought up earlier about a comet that travels into our solar system, and when it's outside the solar system, it has one charge. The comet itself is charged, and when it comes into the solar system, it flips its charge. It becomes, what was it, Vince? Negatively charged when it comes into.
Can I add to something here? We do get cosmic objects from the galaxy, which time to time enter. Time to time, very rarely enter the plasma of the solar system. The plasma of the solar system is not open, it's much stronger than the upper atmosphere of the Earth, and is much layered. Which means, as we've seen how we want to get into Earth atmosphere, we have to enter in a certain angle, and we see what do you call it, the objects which enter the wrong way or with different speed, they burn. The same thing happens on the boundary of the solar system. We hardly get many penetrating even into the top layers, because they burn out in the same way as you get it on the Earth atmosphere. All the comets, all the asteroids, they are all created and maintained and developed by the plasma of the solar system itself. It's just that we never understood the process. In the book number 4, I have explained this process. How comets are actually part of the solar system itself, and how they have a certain orbit, which every time they go to the outer boundary because of their rotation, they gather more material like hydrogen, and on the way other materials like oxygen conversion on the outer layers, and they attach to themselves because it's colder, and as they come close to the sun due to heat, they melt, and we see their tail. it can be said about 90-95% of the what we see as comets on this planet and this solar system is a production of the materials, conversion of the energy into a gas, and then into a gas, and then to matter from the products of this planet, this solar system.
Can we clarify something about that?
Yes.
The comets, most of them that we see, the physical makeup of them, the scientists say at least, is a dirty snowball. But I myself can't see that. I see it as
No,
a rocky matter.
No, let me explain one thing which we have to understand about comets. They are not dirty snowballs. You got to go back into one thing. The people who say comets are from out of this, they enter this solar system. How come they come back on regular basis? And we know their path. So they are like stars which are in a different orbit speed. They are part of, the origin of them is this solar system. And especially where we are on Earth, if there were such a comets coming in our position in respect to the Sun, we wouldn't see them going into the Sun on regular basis. But the comets we see, they come back on regular basis within a given time, within a given orbit. So the comets are products of this planet, this solar system. And what happens is that as their orbit, they're like electrons, of loose electrons of this solar system. The orbit is so big that it goes to the boundary of the solar system where the energies are already converted into hydrogen and on the way to oxygen, or what you call frozen hydrogen gases. And as they come through and pass the heat of the sun, they evaporate, or they become changed, the gases into the liquid state. And as you are in that process, and our or what you call solar system is not all energy, but there are dust in it. In the process of their motion, the things, they get embedded. It's like a snowball coming down. Stones, bricks, wood, everything gets into a snowball. It's exactly the same process. It's not dirt, it's part of the material they gathered in their movement. So this idea of, put it this way, as many cosmic stones or particles enter the solar system and come so close as you see entering in the Earth atmosphere. They all burn out.
I think there's about 100 of them a minute.
It's all burned out because we are very deep. We are very deep. So the comets are byproduct to the solar system itself. I've explained this in book number 4. They just have a loose orbit. They don't have a loose orbit. They have a free orbit which allows them, due to a small mass, to go to the outer boundaries of the solar system and gather, due to inertia, gather lighter gases, which on the way, because they solidify, as the gases are huge low temperatures, other things on the way, they get embedded into it. And when they pass the sun, as they get very close, as the thing melts, opens up, the gases are opened up, then does the release of the stones in the snowball when it melts. There's no difference.
So there's a picture on the screen right now about 2 planets with a big thing in the middle. There's also the theory that planets during movement in the solar system, the interaction between the planets can cause excavation of the material, and that also be inputted into our solar system and put on its own way. Is that possible as well? Like, is that
yes,
a viable aspect?
It happens. Always does. Because it's always say it's gravitational magnetical. The only problem is that as we get closer to the sun, and because of our composite structure, we create a spectrum of bandwidth of matter strength conversion. Some of the field strength which we absorb on the upper surface of the earth come from the inner sanctums of the sun, not all from the surface of the sun. But because they had to pass through such an interaction with so many plasmas, by the time they get to the earth gravitational magnetic field strength, they reach matter state. This is what I explained earlier about that the neutron receives a composition from matter to principal matter. It's the same with us. There is no exception in the world of creation. And then when you receive high density from the what you call the center of the sun, plasmas which gone through, they have a different composition. Some would like to call it neutrinos and that kind of thing. Because they started their life, because of the high density release, they started life from the higher strength. So they cannot interact with anything. Because they're high, it's as I said, wood magnet with a wood, steel magnet with a steel, copper magnet with copper. And because you're in a dynamic gravitational magnetic field state plasma, and your strength is not the same as the rest, you don't interact, you cannot attract. But the scientists have made names for it, they call it neutrinos and this and that. They come mainly from the center of the plasma. But we have the same structure coming from the center of the galaxy, because the center of galaxy principal magnetic fields are of the higher order than the matter in the sun. And then by the same order, the gravitational magnetic field of the principle within the center of the universe is much stronger than what is in the center of galaxies, black holes, or what we call the principal stars. It's literally hand down by strength. This is, as I said to Vince, I need time to finish book number 4. Because the book number 4 brings the reality of the matter with plasma together, and it makes life much easier for scientists. In this book I've explained things in a different way that you can understand more. Then you can make the connection between the plasma and the matter. You have to start analyzing and understand the totality, but not what suits you because of the restriction of your intelligence. Broaden your intelligence by understanding the reality and the process and the condition. What process you set up, what condition you created, which led to production of a matter. With all of you, you just look at the end. Like today, Brad. I have a thing and it's got black things on it and it's got white things on it, and why? You created the condition. You have to be able to explain what condition you created, what are the consequences, and what is the end product. That's why we don't need parrots. And we don't need monkeys in the institute just to copy. We need people who come and bring a new way of thinking and expand the horizon of the knowledge for humanity. If you are autistic, you can replicate whatever we do, stay home. But if you are here to add to the knowledge and bring some of your, what I call, beauties of your knowledge and your intelligence, you're quite welcome. 2 things we don't need in the new institute. One is murderers, and one, what I call autistic people. Try to understand what you do. Try to understand what you do, what are the consequences of it. Try to understand in what you've done, the consequences, what has led to condition of, created. Any other question?
I think just one more before we call it a night. So pressure, sorry, I just got to go to the full question here. Pressure increases gravitational and releases magnetical?
Depends what kind of pressure. Are you blowing or are you sucking? Put it this way. I answered you very clearly. It's the same air, huh?
Just one more thing that I was thinking about there, because we were talking about it on live stream. The Nibiru, or whatever you want to call it, the other solar system, as we talked about with the effect of having an outer shell that has to go through just like our atmosphere when we're coming into it, does that effect happen when merging solar systems, or is it more of a gravitational effect where it is the same strength, so it's no friction or no...
it's a magnetical field interaction. As gravitational.
So there would be more friction, or there would be more light?
In a way, yes. But what we usually see in the universe in these kind of conditions are, in a way, is a merger, but creation of a new life. Is very much what we call, you know what we call a fusion in the plasma technology. It is exactly what happens. Everything is in the pot. You don't get, when you fuse hydrogen and hydrogen, you don't get a hydrogen 12, you get a helium. So it's the same process, but everything is there.
Right, so we're talking about everything as in all matters, all principal matters.
All fields. Would be, you don't talk about
all
matter.
Fields. Sure. All fields would be in one place, but then reorganized over time back into the same situation that we are now.
Yep. And it's happened so many times before, and will happen so many times again about the fields which are in your body and mine.
So that's why when they measure the age of the sun or whatever, then it's could be the age of this age, but not of the totality.
No, you're exactly right. It's like that they say the speed of the guy takes 100 million years for the speed of for that light to reach us. I've never heard such a nonsense in my life. It's one of the biggest nonsenses scientists have ever come up with. Because what you see is what is released more or less instantaneously, because you can observe. Because what you don't see all the stars in the universe, you only see the ones which are in tune with your light, with the gravitational magnetic field of your matter level. The universe is full. What you see is not even a fraction of the fraction of the fraction of 1%. Because they are above the detection level of the human eye. In the tools which we'll make here in the university, then you start seeing the totality. You actually fly through a solid wall all the time, even as a plasma of a solar system. But this wall is made of different entities. You're just finding your passage. It's like a resonance, you find a way through it. There are no empty spaces in the universe. As I always say, emptiness stays in the mind of the man, because he can't understand the totality. Any other question?
Where do the dwarf planets end?
Pardon?
I'm sorry, I'm just full of questions at the end. I don't know why. The dwarf planets that we call them now, that are beyond the reaches of Pluto, that far. Where does that end, and where does the next
Nothing,
solar
these are
system
not
pick
dwarf
up?
planets. These are, if our solar system carries on, let's say, for another billions of years, though these dwarf planets will be the Earth of the future. Because
Right.
the gravitational magnetic field of the Earth, Sun, is continuously pulling to itself the matters. And in time we get sucked in, and the next one comes in line to use the matters we released.
I think they just found one the other day in the out around the asteroid belt, or maybe a bit further out.
The
I think
thing
that
is,
was because of
a
the.
new dwarf planet.
Let
But
me
that was
explain
because
it.
of the orbit of Neptune that they found that.
Yeah, but let me explain something in a very simple way, because we are all laymen in this subject. As we just explained, and our knowledgeable scientists have told us, that we see dirt in the tail of meteorites. As much as they add up to the tail of the meteorite in the ice of the gases they absorb on the boundary, they rub against each other too. Where there is no order, they make their own package with other gases. And this snowball effect becomes a planet. Forever, because of the rotation of the plasma of the solar system, and it's just grinding. You put a what I call. I was explaining this to my child. You know, you go to fairs and you buy these. What do you call them? The sugar they put in the middle, and they spread out, and they stick it on a piece of wood. What do you call them? What's the name for them? The sweets.
Candy floss, is that
Candy
it?
floss, yeah, candy floss. You see, when you get old, you don't eat them anymore, you forget them. So, if you want to understand the creation of planetary system, look at the work of a candy floss. The energy is given in the center, spreads out, you don't get anything till it hits the wall. And at the wall point, it becomes solidified, and then you pick it up. On the edges of the solar system, we have so many dust rolling on top of each other, and they still have gravitational magnetic field to the center. And this end is where all the matter comes, and then when they roll too much and you put a wood in the middle and you rotate it, you have created a new planet. And that's exactly how planetary system starts. You're a stick in the candy floss machine on the edges. You always go to the edge to collect. You don't go in the center, next to the center where it blows out. If you want to understand the work of a universe, get yourself a candy floss machine. Then you see how the solar system works.
We were discussing in the Keshe plasma reactor group about the idea of if you were to take a spinning disk and then drop materials on it, it spreads out very, very thin on the disk. And this is actually a technique to make thin film, different nanomaterials and so on. But possibly with GANS, or possibly with nanomaterials on a thin disk that's rotating and it spins out, it would separate or give a gradient of the materials out to the outer edge of the disk. So this is something we want to experiment with, and it sounds very similar to what you're describing.
Yeah. Maybe we add a little bit more to the knowledge. If you take one of the gases of copper oxide or CO2 and create a high-speed rotation, you make a light out of it. Because somewhere it will be a stretch. It will be a stretch.
Sorry, go ahead.
So the plasma of the GANS will be a stretch, and it becomes a light, a ray of light. Depends which side you're looking at it. So in time, I'll teach you what it means and what it can be done for what you call transportation. You create a high speed, as you say, disk, but your disk can be actually a plasmatic disk, a GANS disk. And then you drop a GANS on the GANS disk. And then you see what the speed of light you create. These are part of the communication, instant communication systems in the future we teach.
Interesting.
Shall we call it a day?
Yeah, I think we've been around the world a few times on all of these topics. Thank you very, very much, Mr. Keshe, once again for this 50-second Knowledge Seekers workshop.
We'll see you next time. And thank you very much for your time. Bye.
Okay. And thanks to everybody for the questions and on the live stream and on the Skype and for our tech team and for anybody else who's connected. Thank you everyone for attending.